Now, Donald Trump, on his 79th birthday, no less, has flexed the United States military muscle on the streets of Washington, D.C. with a parade to celebrate the US Army's 250th anniversary. Now, he had this idea during his first term, apparently, so he's finally managed to pull it off. And the president praised US soldiers who've served and issued a message about the hope for the future of America.
America stands tall, America stands proud, and America stands free. We're the hottest country in the world right now, and our country will soon be greater and stronger than ever before.
But while that celebration of the US was going on the other side of the country in Los Angeles, you had more of this rioting that we've seen all week. This time there have been protests across the country under the banner of No Kings, which is apparently meant to mean that no one is above the law. I don't know, they think Donald Trump is going to make himself the king or something. Would be a strange thing for a Republican to do, but never mind, logic doesn't come into these matters. Sky News First Edition host Pete Stefanovic was there as the LAPD attempted to force crowds from the city streets.
Well, the police have given protesters fair warning that they would move on them by launching tear gas. They've launched flash bombs and flash grenades as well to try and disperse the crowds.
Keller, it's been a terribly unedifying scene in the United States this week, all because the president decided that he would, apply the law.
Not only did he decide that, he decided this about a year ago, and he said it again and again and again on the campaign trail. So all the way through the campaign, he said, I'm going to close the southern border, stop the illegal immigrants, and I will deport the ones who are here. And most of America said, yeah, we'll vote for that. So this is democracy, in a sense. Now, we mustn't get this out of proportion. There are good pictures coming out of the demonstrations, protests, riots, call them what you will. And because there are good pictures, they get lots of coverage on television. I worked out years ago when I was working in television news, you only needed two things, bad news and good pictures. And this is it, bad news and good pictures. So it gets covered a lot. But that doesn't mean it represents America. The word people keep using is divided America. That always creates the mental image, there's half on this side and half on that side, which is rubbish. There's maybe 10 or 20% who have a Trump derangement problem and hate everything he does and have decided not that they're in favour of illegal immigrants, but they will be now because Trump's against them. And not that they're in favour of burning police cars, but they'll do it now because they want to upset Trump. That's all. The rest of America, 80, 90% of America, they would have looked at that military parade, they would have felt proud of being American, really happy with the way the country's going and it's on track. So by all means, keep using the word divided, but it's a tiny sliver on one side and it's the vast majority of Americans on the other.
Well, I wonder, Evelyn, how many of these people at these riots actually care at all about illegal immigrants. I mean, it's basically just an excuse to protest against Donald Trump. And much like Black Lives Matter, it would seem that there is a lot of money being put into this by various forces to encourage civil unrest. And of course, you have Gavin Newsom during the week, the governor of California, saying this is the civil war that Donald Trump wanted. I don't think it's Donald Trump who asked for all of this. I think it's nefarious forces that have taken this as an excuse, ICE going in to deport illegal migrants, as an excuse to create civil unrest that they then try to pin on Donald Trump.
Without doubt. And Kel hit the nail on the head. I think it is a very small portion. I think it's people who are very anti-American. I mean, they hate their own country. I mean, and the irony is that majority of the people who are in these crowds were the perpetrators of getting the human rights violations cracked down with the law during COVID. So the whole irony is lost on them, though. But, they are so starved of oppression over there that they have to invent it and make it up just so that they have a cause. It's their entire identity. It's like that meme that you see on the internet where it's that robot guy and you just put a microchip in his brain of what's the next social justice cause to take, offence with. Because like I said, they literally live in one of the most prosperous nations in the world. They've got nothing to worry themselves about. So they've got to make it up. And if it's not about them, well, I'll use the, legal deportations as their next cause. It's honestly pathetic, to be honest, but very predictable.
Oh, indeed. And Jaimee, as well, I should note, it's your first time on the Sunday Showdown, so welcome aboard.
I'm right about everything, by the way, Jaimee. So you know,
Joe, it's a little early.
Yeah,
a little early for that. We'll get there. We'll get there a little bit later. But this no kings business. I mean, do people really think that that's who Donald Trump is? They don't forget, or they don't remember, do they, that, of course, the previous administration was basically doing everything it could to stop him from running, as though that was somehow an act of democracy. He goes and does what he was democratically elected to do, and all of a sudden they're accusing him of being a dictator.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I watched that parade and I thought that the scenes were fantastic that we saw coming out of Washington. And you could see that people standing along the side were all really proud to be there, all chanting pro-USA, and the military themselves were all waving from the tanks to all the crowd. And I loved watching the parachutes coming through and the World War II jeeps coming in. And I thought it was great. And they're celebrating their army and their defence force who go out and risk their lives every single day for their country and for their citizens. And it was a way to celebrate and honour those. And for those that were doing the No King protest, I think it's ridiculous because Donald Trump does not want to be a king or have a kingdom of any sort. It was just a chance. Yes, it was his 79th birthday, so that's probably part of why people were showing that hostility towards him. But I think it was just a really nice moment to celebrate the army.
Let's also remember it was 0.51% of the entire military, which is the equivalent to about 6,000 members.
Yeah,
but it's you really want to see the full strength of the military. Keep pushing it, because I think Trump is going to go, all right, I'll show you.
I just hope we still have an alliance with them.
Was it a scene out of the West or North Korea, Joe?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So there's plenty of interesting stuff. So this whole No Kings thing, it's obviously like really Roman, Sic Semper Tyrannis, and that was, of course, the words used by the assassins of Julius Caesar and also the assassin of Abraham Lincoln. The last US president to actually serve more than 2 terms wasn't even a Republican at all. It was a Democrat. It was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I would say probably the greatest US president of all time, who had just won, I think, his 4th straight election campaign when he died in office. So if you're looking for, people who... Woodrow Wilson was another Democrat who served 3 terms. So if you're looking for people who are overstaying their welcome, and it's actually all been Democrats, and very good Democrats, I should say, but the protesters in LA are absolutely bonkers. So Gavin Newsom says, this is the civil war Donald Trump wanted. Why are you giving it to him?
I know.
This is Donald Trump fighting, and I think he does want it, because deporting illegal immigrants and keeping the southern border secure is the one issue on which Donald Trump enjoys more support than he does disapproval. On everything else, he is underwater, he's fighting a negative game. But on this one, constantly, poll after poll, 55% of people say they like his position on this. And so you've got Donald Trump struggling in the Middle East, struggling with Putin in Russia. You've got a new World War III between Israel and Iran, and we don't know what Putin's going to do. Donald Trump is all at sea of all of this. And what do the left do? They pick a fight with him on his home turf on the one issue that he is strongest. These guys are what Lennon would call they're useful idiots. They are useful idiots. They are playing exactly into Donald Trump's hand, and they're so stupid that they're actually saying, we're playing right into Donald Trump's hand without realising they're saying it.
Gavin Newsom saying he was going to sue Donald Trump.
Yeah. And the mad thing is, in Los Angeles, the Democrats who think this is a wonderful idea, they're the ones who brought on the curfew. Who is being dictatorial?
It is just
They're the ones who run the cops that shot our journalists.
I know, exactly.
Like the people, it's not the National Guard that's going around smashing windows and knocking protesters' heads together. It's the LAPD. They are 100% owned subsidiary of the Democratic mayor of Los Angeles.
But they've got to make it look really bad so they can say, Donald Trump, bad. Before we move on, here's another clip from that military parade today. He doesn't mince his words about what he would be prepared to do with that military.
If you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final, and your downfall will be total and complete.